welcome to another interesting episode of Amazing Amazon on Captain TV. Yes, I am here again, Tosin Adeyemi, back on your screen. Hope you enjoyed the last episode of the show with our great Amazon. Today is going to be another day to speak and have a conversation with another Amazon. So stay tuned and tell everyone around you that it's about to get started. I am Tosin Adeyemi. The saying goes thus, that what you do not have, you cannot give. Today, we'll be speaking on understanding sex education as parents. We all know that children can be active, energetic, and always curious about everything they see, they hear, and they feel. When they start getting to a stage in their life where they start seeing changes in their bodies, in even things they see or even hear, they get curious about why it is like that, and they love to explore as well. This is the reason why children need to get sex education, for them to be able to understand boundaries, for them to be able to understand privacy, for them to get the proper sex education they need so they can be saved from any sort of perpetrators or molesters around. So today I'll be speaking with someone who has been in this initiative of advocating for children who are of like 2 years, 3 years and above, teenagers as well, educating them and protecting and speaking for them. She'll be sharing her experience with us about how she started her NGO and her experience so far in the business of advocating for children. So join me as I meet my guests. Welcome to the interview segment. Today we'll be discussing about our children. We'll be discussing about sex education. I am here with an NGO practitioner, someone who has been advocating for children for a very long time. She'll be sharing her experience with us and how and why she started this initiative. So join me as I welcome my guest, Mrs. Tessy Ozobialu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Hope I
having
pronounced
me.
your name correctly.
Yes, Ozobialu.
Ozobialu. You're from which state?
From Anambra State.
Okay, but you should applaud me for pronouncing your surname.
Yes. I give it to you.
All right, so nice to have you.
Thank you.
All right, let's meet you. Who is Mrs. Tessy Ozobialu?
Tessy Ozobialu is a social worker, child protection advocate, and personal development advocate.
Okay.
Want to know more?
Yeah, want to know more about you.
I'm a holder of BSc in social work and administration, obtained from the University of Jos. I also have my education, PD in education from the University of Lagos. And then I've done some other trainings and certifications that have helped my career.
Okay. All right, so let's meet you in person now. How would you describe your childhood? Let's talk about your childhood experience.
Well, my childhood experience was fun. It was fun actually growing up. I grew up in Jos Plateau State.
The only child? Or
no,
how many
we are 7. I'm the first.
Wow, you have so many people.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm the first out of 7 siblings. We are 4 of us, 4 girls and then 3 boys. The girls first and then the boys first. So growing up was, that responsibility, the first child responsibility, I took it. I remember myself, every day I have to clean, do the domestic chores.
Like serve,
yes. I have to take care of them. When our parents are not there, maybe when they travel, I took responsibility. I cooked, and then prepared them for school. I don't know. There's a kind of responsibility that comes with being a first daughter.
Of course.
Yes. I remember one time I had to travel during the holiday, and when I came back, my mom was like, I missed you. The clothes. You normally wash my wrappers for me, and I miss them so much. So that responsibility as a first child was there. I was always looking out for my younger ones. Yeah.
I really can understand, because every first child is always saddled with the responsibility of taking care of their siblings.
Yes.
And I know that sometimes, is it not always challenging? Like, Do you feel like at a point that you felt like, oh, I'm just too tired. I'm tired of these people?
Well, sometimes you feel that, especially when you want to get them to do some things and they're not doing them, or when maybe the boys who are always out in the field, I know we have a field, then they will play. And but even when you are challenged, you still see it as this is something I have to do. And looking at the kind of business my mommy was doing then,
No, but what
honestly,
business was that?
she actually did a lot then to help us. And then the last one she did before I got married, when I was still there, was she was preparing snacks and zobo drinks, and we are going to the university and the secondary school to sell. That one is everyday money. It brings in money, but there is work. So we have to wake up 3 a.m. every day. She wakes up to mix the floor.
Okay.
Then wake up 3 a.m. every day. We would have our own responsibilities. I was a specialist in selling the zobo. And after that, we go out where we fry the snacks. We make donuts, we make egg roll, we make, all sorts. And then all of us live together to the university. I think about 3 of us were in the higher institution then. And then we live together there.
But I must really say that your parents must be very comfortable in sending the 7 of you through
I
school.
wouldn't say they are comfortable,
But they were able to send
They
all of you.
We sacrificed a lot to send the 7 of us to school. We sacrificed a lot, honestly. Because I know my mommy was jumping from one business to the other. My dad is a panel beater.
Okay.
He just was a panel beater in Jos then. And he had clients, in companies that will bring their cars. So it was not really easy. They sacrificed a lot. At times there are times that there was nothing, and there are times there was something. And we actually understood that this life really have to work before you eat. Eating, I mean now, is to be comfortable. You don't just have everything on the platter of gold. So that one too also formed our childhood experiences. Everybody was, that when I wake up in the morning, this is my job.
Yeah.
And I have to do it. Even my sisters too, then after, maybe when they are free in the class in the university, they'll just go join my mom to sell to some people.
Okay. All right. So, but looking at your parents gave birth to 7 children, and I really can understand anyone, even if you have 3 children in this century that we are now, we all understand what it means to have to send 2 or 3 kids through school, not to talk of 7. So I must give kudos to your parents for being able to, because you see people who actually give birth to 4, 5, then just put all of them in public school, and some won't even go to school.
Yeah.
Some will have to hawk before they can actually make ends meet. Okay, so share with us, do you have any childhood trauma that you like to share with us? I know some people will always have childhood trauma, something you can never forget, like that you experienced as a child.
I don't call it trauma. I think there are 2 events then.
Okay.
When I was growing up, there's this uncle that lives with us then. And I noticed that at night he'll be tickling me.
Do you stay together?
Yes, now. Then we sleep. No, like an uncle, a family member.
Okay, that stays with you.
And at night he'll be tickling me. And I had to tell my mom. In fact, when I told my mom, Mommy, talk to him. Look at what he does to me at night. And my mommy spoke to him.
And he stopped.
Yes. Another family member, the other relation again. I saw that he's the kind of person that molests smaller boys. And he wanted to do that to my brother. I also spoke out. So those 2 events, I don't forget them. So I'm wondering what the child of today will be facing. So, and I will still speak out to my parents. And my mom took it and challenged him, spoke to him, and he stopped.
I really can understand, because, but why is it that it's always a close relative that's always majorly the molesters? Why?
Yeah, because
why is it always like that?
Before we paint the picture that some stranger will come into the house, but it's someone that knows the family too well, because they know the family too well. They must have studied the child to know the child's weakness and strengths, know when the parents are around, and then it's not as if only child molesters are family members, but there are other people that are far from the family. But those
but majorly we usually have those who are
this
closer to the
tendency,
family,
because they are close to this child.
Yes.
They must have even groomed the child. understood the weakness, understood everything about the child and the family, and then they want to go in.
Hmm. Wow, I really can't because we have children who have been molested while they were younger, and as they're growing up, it has really affected them that they now see men as same. Like, oh, this is
Every man is the
yes,
same.
men will now they'll get irritated by the sight of a man. I know of my friend who was raped at the age of 10 at the age of 10. Until now, she's married now, she's over 30 years. Till now, she still remembers and she still know that very person. That
Wow.
very person is still alive.
And she has not gone for any form of counseling.
No, she's married already with kids.
Yes, but she needs to
But she
go.
always tell me that each time she sets her eyes on that same person, she will always remember. So this is like a trauma that she cannot even forget. Is it really possible for you to forget such experience?
Sometimes it's not possible to forget, but you may be comfortable with it because you must have gone for counseling, which will bring about healing naturally to start getting healed. Even
Okay.
when you remember it, you just feel that you won't feel that bad again. You will wish it did not happen, but you will not feel that by the again because you've gone through a process of counseling, which will bring about healing. That's therapy session.
Okay, share with us the I know you have so many happy moments. Share with us your most happiest moment
Wow.
so
I
far.
don't remember anyone, but let me just share one of my happy moments is
Okay.
when I decided to start basic class. I started with talking to teenagers. I can remember this particular day. I started with assembly talk. I went to school,
Okay.
and after speaking to them on the assembly, men, and there's a way you will speak, you'll be convinced that these people understood you and they listened to you. That moment, I don't think I'll forget that moment. I came out, I went with someone, I was like, man, I so much love this. I so much love this feeling. It was so fulfilling. I don't know if I should call it my passion, but I really enjoyed that moment. One of my happy moments, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about while you were in school. Has there been any point whereby you experience a kind of a tough time in school while you were in school, like a tough time? Maybe it could be sort of bullying or difficulties like paying of school fees, stuff like that. Do you experience any?
Okay, so I told you we are seven of us in number.
Yeah.
And then going to school was tough, but we were determined and my parents were determined. They would rather pay your school fees, buy you books. And if there's no transport fare, you just have to look for a way. This particular day, I went to my dad, I was going to school, I needed transport fare. As usual, he says, go to your mommy. Mommy, I need transport fare. My mom said, I don't have. Man, I left the house out of anger, not angry at anybody, but just at the situation. And I opened the gate, I just banged the gate and stepped out. And then I just saw one young man there. His name is Kunle. I don't even know if I'm going to meet Kunle. He said, Tessy, life is in phases. This is just a phase. And to go. So that thing just calmed me down. But it was really difficult then. Another difficult moment was when we wrote a particular course. And I was so prepared. I read and I was confident that this thing, I have passed it. I think it's statistics or something. And then when the result came out, I had either an E or a D. I
Wow.
was to carry over. I said to myself, not me. It was not easy, but I don't know what gave me the courage. I said, no, me, I'm not going to carry it over. Every day I go to the exam officer's office, sir, check that result for me. When he sees me, he hissed, I want to leave. So I know someone called and said, sir, please, why is it that whenever I come, you say, I don't want to respond to you, but I kept going. So one day I waited, he left the office. I went to the secretary, I said, please, help me check this list. Let me know, am I the one that actually failed this or somebody? When I checked, lo and behold, I had a B.
Wow.
The person that was below me, that's the next name after mine, had that A. It was that same person that was saying, Tessy, you do too much. Why don't you write this course again?
Hmm.
And then it was almost exam period.
Wow.
When I told her, she cried and said, Tessy, thank you very much. So I just helped her. We went to meet the lecturer in charge and explain, and that is how she joined in the course. So there are difficult moments, but I think this is the two I can remember vividly.
Wow. This is the second time I'm hearing this, that you writing an exam and getting this having the expectation of a positive result, and what you are getting is negative. Like someone that I was chatting with a while ago said she wrote the jam, and she was so certain about what she wrote in the jam, and when the results came out, it was all failure. It was like, no, this is not my result. They had to go to jam office to rectify. So funny enough, that was not the result. That was not our results they gave to her. So just like what you're saying, so it's just like, don't accept defeat. Don't just accept failure. Like, just investigate and make sure that it's actually, yeah, don't conclude on time. Okay, no, as it is now, you are an angel practitioner. You've been in this initiative for a while. Can you say you are living your childhood dream? Is this what you have ever dreamed to become?
While I was growing up then, I said I was going to read mass comm and I'll be working in the TV. But admission was so difficult that I had to go and do a diploma in law first. And then, when you start looking for admission, you're not looking at the course you want to do again.
Yeah, sure.
That sometimes just do something good. I wanted to go into law. I had to do the diploma. After that, I waited for some years. Not some years, maybe like a year or two. And social work was new in Jos then. And my daddy's friend, who's a professor, said, he's a professor now, a lecturer then. He said, come and do social work. I was like, what is social work? He said, don't worry, you're going to enjoy it. That's Professor Ejiro. You're going to enjoy it. And then I started. And I wouldn't say it's a childhood dream,
But what was your childhood dream?
Can I even place it then?
Like what you have wanted to
be?
become, yeah.
Maybe then you choose, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor.
But your dream will determine what you study in school.
I know I wanted to actually do mass comm and work and be a broadcaster, something like that.
Okay.
Yes. I wanted to do that.
But along the line,
I now read social work. Now I'm a social worker, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us, how has it been so far? How long have you been doing this?
Well, it has actually been part of me because when I relocated to Lagos after getting married, I had to teach. That's the job I saw. In fact, that's not the job I saw. I saw other jobs. Let me even share this experience. I saw a job that after the interview, is in a church, in a Catholic church, family life, something.
Okay.
Just in the area of social work too. But the issue was that I was newly married then. I was 3 months married.
Okay.
And they said, Tessy, you can't be going abroad to train and leave your husband, you're newly married. And they advised me then, go and look for another job, like teaching and after childbearing, you now live your dream. I cried out of that one, and I cried like 2 days after. Even when I saw them in church, the men keep saying, have you forgiven us? Because it was like a shock to me. So I had to go into teaching. But I taught for almost 5 years. I didn't see fulfillment. I taught in a good school, a big school that pays well. But each time I enter there, I'll say, God, please, this should be my last time. Because I felt that teaching will put you in a particular place, maybe bottle you up. You will not be free to express yourself. And the outgoing type, I would like to go for trainings, like to go to this, to talk to people. Events, yeah. But school will give you what you are going to say because of the curriculum they are using. So I wasn't really very, very free. So after some time, I had to just resign. Went to an NGO, worked there for about 3 years.
As a volunteer?
As a staff.
I
actually started volunteering before I was called, while I was teaching. I was volunteering then. I'll go whenever I'm free.
Okay.
So I was called to come and work in that NGO. After about 3 years, I relocated. I was left with nothing. I had to go to volunteer in an orphanage, the specialist orphanage. And then from there, the passion still came back because I have this passion of, with time, it grew. with my social work experience to work with children and teenagers. So I had to start going to schools to talk to them on the assembly, and that is how Peace Setters was grew.
Okay, so you can say that you started up as a volunteer.
Yes.
Okay. So counting it year by year, how long now? That you have started your initiative?
My own initiative?
Yes.
It was actually in 2017.
Okay.
I just went to a school to talk about sex education. And the principal permitted me to be coming. Then I'll still volunteering in that orphanage.
Okay. I
should be coming on Mondays, 8 a.m. on the assembly. I started doing it. I'll go there before I go to where I volunteer every Monday. I went this particular Monday. The previous Monday, I trained them on how to negotiate and refuse and report whoever is wooing them, asking them for sex, you know. And then I went there the next morning. The next Monday, the principal was rewarding people that spoke out and punishing those people that a teacher was wooing some students and using someone as a messenger. He sacked the teacher, punished the students, and rewarded the other ones. And he told me, this thing you are doing, that is 2017 now, around between July and December, I was doing this, going to that school. He said, you have to go to other schools. So that's December of 2017, I sat down, gave it a name, wrote down everything. And then in 2019, I did my CC.
Okay, nice. Okay, now let me ask you, what makes you so passionate about, because I see that you focus majorly on children. I know you focus on other areas as well, but children, because you belong to the Child Protection Network. So why are you so passionate about children, about being a social worker, about advocating for children?
You see, children generally need help. I see them as being vulnerable because they can't be deceived, you know. And if they're not well informed, they won't know. My mantra for children is an informed child is an empowered child. So I feel like empowering them, being there for them to speak out. As I told you the story about myself when I was, if my mommy did not stand up for me, probably maybe I'll be sexually abused. But because I noticed the first time and I told her, so I felt that let me do this for other people.
Yeah.
Let me also inform them. Let me teach them so that they can be able to speak out and report whatever is strange going on around them.
All right, thank you so much for that. We'll talk more on this second part of the conversation we are going now. We'll talk more about sex education. We'll talk about understanding sex education as parent, because it is what you have that you can give. Yeah. Why is it important for parents to get sex education? All right, viewers, stay with us. We'll go on this time out, and when we return, we'll continue the show. All right, welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is the final lap of the conversation segment, and I've been speaking with Mrs. Tessy Ozobialu, and want to talk about understanding sex education as parents. This is what we are going to be discussing in the final lap of this conversation, so stay tuned. All right, now let's go to the conversation properly. You are a social worker. I know that you must have had several cases brought to your table. And how do you really handle cases like sex, maybe like a child being molested, a child who's being physically abused? How do you handle such situations?
Okay. Yeah, there's a process. We have a process that is being laid down, because in handling it, you can't handle it alone. The parents of the child will have to give their, have to be involved, not even consent, have to be involved. Then the police will be involved.
Okay.
Then anybody that reported the case too will have to be involved, and the child too is the primary person, the main person. So many times when we see that, first of all, we calm the child down, try to get all the information, then we go to the police.
Okay.
You know, and report from there.
So you take it to court?
They will now get the person arrested.
Arrested.
And then you have to hold the person head. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about sex education, because I must say that we need to talk about this. A lot of parents are always feeling uncomfortable talking about sex education to their parents. Why is it? Okay, let me begin with, what is your definition of sex education?
Okay, sex education is just as simple as it is, sex and education. And let me put it that it is not just sex education alone, it has a lot. You know, when you talk about sex, a girl is a girl, a boy is a boy, and there is something that makes them to be different, right?
Yeah.
There are also gender roles, sexual gender roles too. Now we'll bring all those together. But that sex education being one word, it's just telling them about their bodies. Like I call it my body and I. Because some people don't even want to hear that word sex education.
Yes.
To be as if education, what are you educating? You know, the thinking is not that broad to understand that you look at what you're talking about. So I call it my body and I because it's all about the body, changes in the body, and then personal hygiene is also part of it. Self-esteem is part of it also. And then being able to speak out is also part of it. I call it life building skills, part of it also. So it's not just about sexual, maybe the part of the body, organs, sexual activities, no. So it's all encompassing.
Okay. All right, because I'll say I'm still really not clear about your definition, but I know that when we hear the word sex education, is about educating a child. Maybe sex education for children is about educating a child about his body and the sensitive parts and the sensitive parts and the changes in the body as well. Okay, so now why is it important for us to have a discussion like this, like understanding sex education as parents in a world where we have so many molesters and pedophiles?
In 2015, UNICEF reported that 1 out of every 4 girls and then 10% of boys are being sexually abused. And you know that sexual abuse occurs every day. Every day. Just yesterday night, I had another one of that occurred from a radio, a presenter. So it occurs every day. So it's very, very important that our children will be trained on sex education for them to speak out, because molesters are there. They are outside there. It's not written on their face. You don't know who is who. So that any step they take, these children will be able to sense what they want to do and then speak out. So it's very important now.
But in your own case, you said while you were a child, you experienced a sort of molestation, kind of, and you reported to your parents. Did your parents ever sat you down to educate you?
Well, they won't mention they won't just go into it, but they'll keep training you. Especially when I started growing up, I saw my period, the normal story. My mom said, now you are now a woman.
If a boy touches you, you'll be pregnant.
So they did not really give me, they gave me morals.
Okay.
You know, you have to be a good girl. And then religious education also. We have to pray, we have family meetings, but they didn't come out to say, let's talk about sex education. You have a vagina or your breast will become, develop. No, we didn't get that form. Even in the schools then, we didn't hear it.
So that means you don't have to be direct in saying it, like, okay, you want to sit them down officially to like educate.
That's what I'm doing.
Your parents did not officially like sit you down.
No.
And that means, okay, that what you're saying now is that you can pass this sex education to a child through any means.
These days now, it's not through any means. You have to call a spade by its name. In fact, I have streamlined it to make it very simple into what I call 5 simple body rules.
Okay.
The first one, my body is mine. We talk about the parts of the body, talk about personal hygiene, talk about carrying yourself, self-esteem, whether I'm tall, short, fat, still love my body. Remember, part of the body is there. There are functions. You mentioned all the parts of the body, including the penis and the vagina in that one. Then the second one is respect me and I'll respect you. It talks about self-respect and respect for others, respecting even their privacy. And then the third one is my no means no, my stop means stop. In the other two, we talked about appropriate touch or touching someone in appropriate places. So you have to encourage the children or students, anybody you are teaching, that's these days, to speak out and say no when they sense any form of inappropriate touch, or people tell them something and say don't talk. They must have to say no and say stop. Then the fourth one is I do not keep body secrets. If they are touched in inappropriate places and then they are encouraged to keep quiet, to keep short, you have to encourage them to speak out. No need of saying secrets. In fact, when you bring in the issue of secrets, you know that the children open up because they also keep secrets. They open up a lot. There are lots of things that people do and they keep it secret. But when you encourage them, don't even keep any secret or anybody's secret. Speak out. And then the last one is, I will report whatever is not right. All these 5 simple body rules are talking about one thing from different dimensions. So we just break it down into 5 that anybody can understand it and teach sex education with it.
Okay. Yeah. So now, who is responsible for giving a child sex education? Is it the parent? Is it the teachers? Is it the community, society, media? Who exactly?
Everyone. But
like who is the direct, like parents. The most important?
I recommend the parents.
Parents.
Because when you talk about parents, you're talking about the home front. And the home front is the family. And the family is the first agent of socialization. You know, we are taught that a child is born with a clean slate. And when the child comes with a clean slate, the first place the child will be is in the family. And whatever is taught in the family will remain as a foundation. So the parents has the honors to train their children on sex education. In the school, they can do it, they can mention it, but you know, that is not their main thing. They are into academics. Yeah. But then they will mention it and address it at any point. But the parents will have to do the work, the bulk of the work. The media too can help. Like this program also is also promoting sex education. You know, and write-up on print media also helps too. But the onus is on the parents.
But now, because I want us to focus on parents. Because you just said it that parents has the major role to play. Because the sex education we are getting on the internet is not what sex education should be. So a lot of children, they don't get proper sex education from their parents, and they get it on the internet. They don't, we are in a digital era, and people tend to go on the internet to get virtually everything you need. It's there. So now, that's why we need to understand why parents need to have this sex. There are some parents who does not even know how to educate their children, who does not know how to give their children sex education. But saying that if a guy touches you, you'll be pregnant. That aspect, I don't understand.
I don't want to believe that they still say that these days.
Should we still go by that? Because that's what a lot of women, okay, let's say maybe those that are not literate, they say it that, okay, when a guy touches you, you'll be pregnant. And some other misconception, wrong sex education that we see everywhere. So what's your take on that?
Parents should also go and study and get the appropriate information. And this sex education is also age appropriate. So while the parents are studying, they should know the age appropriate sex education. We keep hammering it, saying this in churches, women gathering, men gathering. Parents need to know. But one thing is that with the way the society is now, everybody is trying to fend for the family. The mother is out there, the father is out there. Now, what time do they have to do it? I would also recommend there should be family time, bonding. And then you bring all those things. When you bring the religious aspect, the moral aspect, then sex education should also be there. So parents should also go. You know, some parents beg, please, I don't want you to do this, so don't get pregnant, some we will. This child, don't kill me.
Don't kill me, this and that.
But when you want to do adequate and age-appropriate sex education, there is need for you to have a session with them, a time for it. And it's so sad that many parents don't even have the right information. As I said, they go to the internet. We are available to give them the right information. Let me just mention this, that very soon my book will be out. It will help parents. It's going to be like a manual to help parents to give their children age-appropriate sex education.
This age now takes me to the next question of, at what age is it appropriate and right for a child to get sex education from the parents?
To me, I say it's at the age of reasoning.
Reasoning?
Yes. And reasoning too has a question mark. You know, children these days learn fast.
Yes.
A child of less than 2 years can say some words.
Yeah.
A child of less than 2 years can identify the father, the mother, neighbor, uncle. A child of less than 2 years knows that this is my head, this is my leg, this is my clothes, this is my school bag.
Yes.
So at that age, you now bring it in. I have a daughter who is not to 2 years. When I want to go and take her bath, I'll put towel around her. I'm teaching her privacy and boundary. Now we are going in. Funny enough, it may be funny. If I want to change that diaper and I see somebody, I'll say, please, I want to change my baby's diaper. I'm introducing privacy. So it is now embodied in my own, she observed what I do. So they learn by observation from the parents, because you cannot tell a child anything at that age and the child will understand. But what you do, your lifestyle is teaching the child something. It now goes, 0 to 3 years. The child will watch you. You are now a model. They learn by modeling.
Yeah.
Then you can sing rhymes, nursery rhymes to them. Just if you can just bring up something, a nursery rhyme or a song, they will understand and keep learning. Then as they grow, you keep bringing them in. At a point when they're up to 3 years, you now teach them the part of the body. That's the way I teach. Part of the body, and mention all the parts of the body and the functions, and then warn them that some are you alone. Now, all the parts of the body are private, but I tell kids there are some special ones that should not be exposed. If I want to describe vagina and penis, I will tell them the name, and I'll tell them, you see, it is inside your boxer, it's inside your pants. It is for you. You see your breast inside your clothes. It's not meant to be exposed, and it's not meant to, you don't invite people to touch them. Don't allow people to touch it anyhow. If they fondle with it anyhow, you have to speak out. Gradually, you're now going to teaching them privacy, boundaries, personal hygiene. You go into love, lust, like that until they're 18. Before you know it, it will become a normal discussion. And then the child must have understood what I'm talking about. When the child gets up to 18, maybe between 16, 17, 18, you introduce dating, friendship, courtship,
Thank you so much for analyzing this and sharing your own experience as well. So now, I really can't relate because, okay, let me put it this way. So you're saying that as a parent, especially mothers, you're a model to your children.
Yes.
And whatever you do, they watch and they do same as well.
Yes.
So now what you're saying now is that you need to call your children as early as maybe 2 years. So far the child can speak and can identify body parts or things around. Call them and make them understand, teaching them privacy, boundaries.
Yes,
a gradual process.
Making it a lifestyle.
But now, in as much as we're trying to instill morals and a normal way of life to a child, and we are in a society where nudity is the order of the day. Because there is something that I experienced. I went to a friend's house, and probably my friend is someone that is very educated and always takes care of the children, educates them, this and that, my body and I, she does that. So the small child is like 4 years or 5 years. So they were going out for a party. So on getting to the party, she saw a lady, like the cleavages were opened, and that went to the mom that, Mom, but you said my body, my breast should be in my clothes, this and that. But look at this person. So I don't know the response she actually give, to convince such a child that what she has just seen is not normal. It will take a while for that child to actually understand and try to bring your own teaching and what she is seeing in reality. So how do we actually overcome that situation? Because going by the other day, you go around, even on social media, the internet, you see people exposing their body parts, and you're teaching your child sex education, you're teaching your child privacy, boundaries, and what the child is seeing outside is different from what you're teaching. So how do we do that?
Okay, it's also okay for parents to find a way to tell their children that you alone is doing it is not wrong, and everybody is doing it is not right. I don't know if you understand. Everybody is doing it is not right, and you alone doing it is not wrong.
Okay.
It depends on the individual and how you bring up the child. Now, if a child comes with such kind of complaint to me, what I'm going to respond to the child is that let's focus on you yourself. What do you think is good based on what you've learned? Because children also have consciences and they also, to their level, they know what is good on their own level.
Yeah.
Do you think that opening up like that is good for you, or it's not good for you? Let's talk about it. We'll start from there.
And bonding, we can actually do that. If you bond well with your child will be able to be free to speak to you about anything. So now let's talk about the sexual molesters. How can one protect a child from all these molesters?
Sex education is the key. To let the children know that they have to speak out. I tell children that your mouth is your power. I tell them that you say you can fight, not with your hands, but you can fight with your mouth. And I give them examples. If you notice, I know when training them, you also have to stimulate their senses to be able to know that when someone is doing something, they have to observe the person. If the person is doing something that is not right, they'll either speak out or not go too far with them. So left for me, for that molesters, you tell children to speak out if you see whatever is not right or any strange movement. We also train them on collecting things from people. You know, there are gift baits.
Yes.
They give a gift to show so much love to a child. So the child will have confidence. We teach children to watch that. If you are giving anything, let your parents know before you use them. And now a sensible parent, when it comes the first time, second time, they know that there's something. I have a friend whom someone their compound comes every day. Oh, I bought this for your baby. You carry the baby. She was a child then. Throw the baby or play with the baby. At a point, my friend said, please, thank you, stop buying. So if children are taught that there are gift baits, there are emotional baits, there are people are grooming, at least they will understand the processes and know when to speak out. That's why it's good to be open to your parents and tell your parents whatever happens, whether it is good or it is bad. And then the sensible parents will work on the information the child has provided.
Thank you so much. Now, talking about molesters, we have child molesters. We have children who are molesters themselves. Yeah. Children, yes, like 3 years, 4 years. We have like that, whereby they'll say they are doing mommy and daddy play, and they tell them, why did you touch my breast? Why did you touch this? These children too, it's a parent that actually give it to them. Yeah. So what do you think is actually wrong? And how can that child be delivered? Let me use that word, delivered, saved from that kind of attitude. You have children like that, like male children of 4 years, 5 years, and they already understand what the private part means. They want to experience it. So how do we deliver such children?
First of all, I would say they started by curiosity. Children want to be curious. They want to, sometimes they touch themselves and then they move on to touch other people. And sometimes it is what they observe in movies or they see their parents do. Now, to such an innocent child who is doing that, you have to call the child. And also teach the child sex education.
Parents whom their children does that would not even believe their children can do that. Because it's one thing for parents to realize that my child is bringing out this immoral act. And for the parent to actually accept and be able to help that child. But even if a child reports to the parent that, your son did this to me, they would not believe it.
Yes, some parents are overprotective when it comes to that. I once asked a question, what if your child is a perpetrator, what will you do? What will you do? If I find out my child is a perpetrator, first of all, love. But it depends on the age now. Show love, then educate. And I'll not live in denial. Parents should not live in denial that their child did not do this. You have to show love first, then you educate that there are dangers of doing this. Give them example of people who have done it and they come to jail. Give example of those who were survivors and they spoke out. Everything depends on upbringing and the relationship that a parent has with the child.
Okay, so I understand that this also is very important for us to talk about when we have child perpetrators as well, because it happens most times in schools whereby Like now, my 4-year-old child came back one day and told me that he was talking to the other sibling that, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a boyfriend? I was so surprised to hear that from her. I was like, where did you hear that from? He said, my school. So now I know that children go to school to get education and all of that, but all of these things also, they hear them in their schools.
They hear them everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere they hear them everywhere. So how can we protect our children from this, I call it immoral society? How can we save them? How can we make them understand it? Because I must say that parents alone, do you think parents alone can do this work?
Like I said before, parents have the honors to do it, but every other player, every other person in society, we also do it. Also, just once in a while, mention it. So it's not, the duty is not just on parents alone.
But parents should start it first.
The child that was mentioning boyfriend, is innocently mentioning it. Just the way parents will go to their mommy and ask, mommy, where do babies come from? Yeah. So it is you
that will now educate.
You also have to bring yourself down to the level of that child and educate. Sometimes we in Africa, we like scolding as a means of correcting.
Yes.
And then you end up making the child to be quiet. If the child hears anything, boyfriend, you explain. You just have to explain what it is. And then educate them at the spot.
Thank you so much for that. So what will be your parting shot to parents as regarding understanding sex education and the importance of getting this knowledge?
Okay, to our parents, I'll say you should give your children the right information regarding sex. Don't go to the internet. You go to those people who are qualified to give this information, to get this information. Then, parents, don't stay too far from your children. Create a bonding time. If you have big children who have phones, create a WhatsApp group, have a bonding with them. If you don't have children who have a WhatsApp group, even if you have, create time for family meeting, for family time. Create bonding. Then gradually you bond and they'll be free to tell you anything. And then don't scold your children when they mention words that you feel are not appropriate. You have to bring them closer to yourself, educate them, and then explain, advise them.
Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed every bit of our conversation, and I hope to have you one day in our studio, to come over to our studio.
I'll be glad.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, viewer, thank you for staying with us. We'll go on a short break. Thereafter, we wrap up the show. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you so much for being a part of today's episode of Amazing Amazon and Captain TV. And I hope you learned a lot from the interview segment with my guest, Mrs. Tessy, speaking on sex education, why parents need to understand sex education for their kids' purposes. All right, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. So till I come your way again next weekend with another amazing personality, I remain Tosin Adeyemi.